Hello, fellow Auraxians. Today I'm asking a question for us to all think about. And I don't have the answer myself, just some speculation. Are implants saving Planetside? There was this undeniable lull following the construction system release. A few devs got the system stabilized, but all that support Planetside was receiving dried up pretty quickly. And while there has certainly been plenty of hiring related to Planetside 2 since its release, it was never really to expand the team. They replaced key positions as those people were moving on to other games, and they brought some people back that had actually been let go when SOE put the company up for sale. But for the first time in a long time, they've posted for 2 positions that represent a direct expansion to the Planetside 2 development team. All of this happening within a year of the release of the Implant System. The only reason I would start expanding a team on a 5-year-old game is if I was discovering some avenues to generate more revenue with that title. And they haven't even got the system to PS4 yet. There's a whole nother market they can hit with it. I gotta say, that bodes really well for Planetside. Let's dissect these 2 systems, construction and the implants, because in the end they're both the same thing, a system of monetization. Now, construction was a massive endeavor. Lots of 3D modeling to get all the placeables for construction, rigging turrets, new explosion and firing effects, and getting a new vehicle out. Developing an entirely new VP system to go along with it. All of that time, effort, energy, man-hours, and for what? 26,750 certification points worth of unlocking. That is nothing. A lot of veteran players were probably already sitting on 50,000 certs when the system came out. People either gobbled the content up without thinking twice about it, or if you didn't have those resources, you just kind of slowly built up over time. There was nothing there that said you got to buy this right away. There was no incentive to bite the bullet and just buy those construction objects. Now let's look at the implant system. Over 200,000 worth of certification points to unlock the entire system. And what did it take to create that? 20 art assets that you duplicate 5 times for each tier and put an extra triangle on them? It's brilliant. Sure, there's a little bit of coding and some scripting to make some of the implants work. But man, what I wouldn't give to dive into their ERP software and really quantify the ROI of the construction system versus the implant system. I would bet the implant system just blows construction out of the water. And I think a lot of people will say, well, whoa, what about that drop in the player count when the implant system released? And I know it may seem a little counterintuitive, but that probably only improved how Planetside 2's numbers looked. Here's the thing you gotta understand. There's nothing free about a free-to-play player. Every time someone comes in and patches the game, the data centers are gonna charge DBG. Every bit they gotta send out to a client, those data centers are gonna charge DBG. And I'm not trying to single out free-to-play players. I've spent plenty of time in this game as a free-to-play player. But my point is there is an expense to them. And I would also bet that those are the players that the implant system scared away first. They saw something that looked pay to win, they jumped ship. People that have already spent money in the game, are already invested in the game, are waiting for the next thing, they're probably like, I'll bite. I'll pay up for a few implants. So now your server costs have gone down and your ratio of paying players has gone up. So maybe on their Steam chart it doesn't look quite as good, but I bet it looks really nice on their balance sheet. And that's big. If management is getting signals that each hour spent on Planetside 2 will generate more revenues than if they spent another man hour on one of their other titles, they're going to go apply more man hours to Planetside 2. I think the construction system was a big negative. Extremely costly to get up and running. A lot of man hours and expensive man hours as well. Senior coding time. It's understandable that they'd sort of ease back and say, whoa, that investment didn't really work out. We don't like the numbers we're seeing coming off of those man hours spent. But now that we're in this position where they've reduced the amount of man hours spent on Planetside 2, yet they're able to release a system that generates more revenue, all of a sudden those ratios start looking really good. And management can start saying, okay, you guys have figured something out here. We can put a few more man hours into this game if the revenue is coming back maintain that ratio. So we went over the players that hate the system and walked away. We went over the players that are willing to pay for the system. And I think there's one other type of player that's like, why did it have to be loot crates? Loot crates suck, random sucks, lottery sucks. Which it does. Here's the thing. If they wanted to go without loot crates, they'd have to charge $50 per implant. Just imagine the community backlash if they charged for one implant what a new game cost. It would be mayhem. It would be a disaster. So, like most free-to-play games, they have to do the lottery system, and that means some people will escape with the coolest implant for almost nothing, but that also means there's some whales that won't stop until they get every single implant, and they're going to keep the lights on for everyone else. If they could just buy the implant they wanted for $5 or $10 and be done, the system wouldn't be profitable enough. And implants are going to do more than just that. They're going to help us get things like some more faction-specific weaponry. Here's the thing. When everyone's sitting on 25,000 certs, DBG's not going to want to release anything that's not NS. People will buy Nanite Systems weapons with Daybreak cash, even if they have plenty of certs, because they want them to be available across their account on all factions. That's less likely to happen with faction-specific weapons. A lot of people only have 3 characters max, and if they have plenty of certs on all of them, they're just going to buy those weapons with certs. So Drax Gaming nails why they can start bringing us faction-specific stuff after the implants have been out for a bit.
They're going to bring out good weapons. They're going to bring out faction-specific weapons next week, and I won't be able to afford them.
Exactly. If people can afford the faction-specific weapons, they can't start releasing faction-specific weapons. If they start seeing, whoa, everyone's starting to run out of certifications a little bit, the average cert pool per player goes way down, then they can say, okay, well maybe we'll get enough people spending Daybreak cash for these weapons that we could go for some faction-specific stuff. And then the final thing I want to cover is being heard by Daybreak Games. Now you can probably tell, I have a lot of ideas that I throw out there into the Planetside cosmos, and I'm hoping that those generate good discussion, and maybe one of the devs will pick it up and they'll bring it up in a meeting at some point and say, hey, what about this idea I heard about? But what we run into sometimes is the community doing everything they can to invalidate their voice, memeing their way into irrelevance. Let's take a look here. This is a meme regarding Minor Cloak. There was such a massive outrage over this implant, and it has had zero effect on the day-to-day gameplay. Even without the minor nerf it got, it still would be just as irrelevant. But people will really want this implant. They will spend thousands of dollars to get this implant, and that will push the game forward while having no adverse effect on the day-to-day gameplay. I have not seen the implant once on the live server. But this was a very well upvoted post. And so this gets pasted as the voice of the community. And it's just plain wrong. So the community becomes the boy who cries wolf, yelling and screaming about something that really is nothing. The problem is then when something comes up that's gonna go live, that actually is a problem, and the community starts a big fuss about it, it's gonna be really hard to take them seriously because they were so off base on something like minor cloaking. The community's pitchforks can do a lot of good for the game if used sparingly and effectively. But if they come out every time a fun meme gets posted, they're just going to get ignored. And you're going to end up scaring away a lot of people that would have enjoyed the game because they just happen to show up in the subreddit when the community is raging about nothing. Anyways, guys, to wrap this up, I want to just show you a few of the files I mined in the database regarding future implants possibilities. They may come out, they may have already been considered and scrapped, and they'll never hit live. Who knows, but still fun to think about. This first one is entitled Devious Sapper. Here's the Forward Guard. We have the Jump Specialist. And also the Projection Specialist. Then we move into some of the Tier 6 implants. This one is titled Cold Hearted. We have the Power Strike implant. This one was titled Travel Mode. And finally, we have the Dying Breath Tier 6 implant. So who knows what will come, but I would enjoy any comments or speculation on what any of those will be. As always, thank you for watching, and I will see you Planetside.